Okay, good afternoon and welcome to North Ridgeville Academic Center. And Mr. Liston talked about being grateful for a facility, and we at North Ridgeville are certainly grateful for this incredible facility that houses just over 2,000 students in grades 3 through 8. And honestly, the building that got us through COVID and will continue to get us through the next several years. So we are grateful. Giving you one last moment to log into Slido. As Sarah pointed out, this is going to be a very interactive presentation, and we are looking for your feedback. And we're going to talk about some of the feedback that some of you gave us last year as well.
Yeah, thank you everybody for coming today and learning a little bit about what's going on in the city and the schools. As always, we're grateful for the opportunity to work with the Chamber to have this event and make this presentation to you.
Okay, going once, going twice. And we're moving on. All right, welcome to the second State of North Ridgeville. You guys liked this so much last year, we decided to do it again, as opposed to a State of the City and State of the Schools. And so here we are again to talk about some of the exciting events and things that are happening right here in our city that we both have the pleasure to lead and are quite proud to do so. Before we begin, I have a few thank yous, and Sarah mentioned a few, but again to Sarah Miller and the North Ridgeville High School Choir, they're pretty outstanding. To the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, Marjorie Snyder for all your hard work in organizing. Aramark and Leslie McKimmey we also mentioned, but Leslie's in the back waving, and her amazing staff. Leslie, I heard the food was just outstanding. To Seth Perry and our maintenance and custodial team for setting up the event today and making sure that we have this facility ready to go. And finally, last but not least, to the North Ridgeville Board of Education. Today with us, if you please stand, President Frank Vaca. Board Member Marcy Saxon. And unable to be here with us today, Vice President Joanna Tamira, Board Members Jeff Grigsby and Kelly McCarthy, and I am grateful for their support and for their leadership as we talk about next steps and how to push our schools forward here in North Ridgeville. If you are a North Ridgeville City School staff member, would you please stand? There should be a whole lot of you. Thank you to this amazing group of people who lead our buildings, lead our teams, and honestly are the boots on the ground doing the hard work each and every day to make sure our students are getting the very best, and I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you very much.
All right, council members, if you could please stand. Council President Jason Jacobs. We have Ward 1 Councilwoman Holly Swank. Dennis Cruz is unable to join us today. Ward 3, Bruce Havens. Cliff Winkle, there he is. Right in front of me. Sorry, Cliff. At-large members, Martin DeVries and Georgia Awick. And if you are a staff member of the North Ridgeville City, please stand and be recognized. I'd like to especially thank my Safety Service Director, Jeff Armbruster, Tissa Simon, and Robin Maida for all their help. And at this point, I'd also like to recognize our State Representative, Gail Miller. All right, let's start this off with service. This is the Ranger Strong theme, and service is the first thing.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what the North Ridgeville City Schools are doing as it pertains to service in our community and beyond. Beginning with some volunteerism and fundraising opportunities that our students and staff have taken on. A few examples and some actually, as we talk about the high school in a moment, we have a cute little video clip that I'm excited to share with all of you. But for the last several years, we have always partnered with the North Ridgeville Lions Club, and every year we do a food donation. This year, our students and staff were able to donate 6,000 pounds of food to North Ridgeville Community Care. And that goes a long way, as you know, in our community to benefit not only our families, but also the community at large. And we're very proud of the ability to be involved in such an amazing organization. The picture that you see is the Fleming family, and in the back in the bright yellow shirt is Roger Fleming, who is one of our high school custodians, who also was a guest speaker at this year's convocation. But Roger and his family this year donated a buddy bench to our district grounds. It's actually right outside on the playground, outside from the Gaga Pit. And for those of you who are not familiar with the buddy bench, it's a place for students to go during recess or other times when perhaps they don't have somebody to play with, indicating to our other students to lend a friendly smile, come over, have a conversation. And so we are grateful for the Fleming family. If you look carefully, that bench was actually crafted out of plastic that was donated. 250 pounds of plastic caps were utilized to melt it down to create that bench. And the Fleming family not only funded that entire project, but transported, brought it here, and along with our custodial team, made that be a fixture here on our campus. We're excited. We also, for the past several years, and you've heard about this before, 8th grade students participating with the city and can make a difference in helping out our community in South Central Park to clean it up. And finally, one of the things that has been newer to North Ridgeville High School, but the Ranger Service Volunteer Project, or the RSVP class. It's actually a class at the high school where students participate to not only gain volunteer hours, and 2 days a week they are in different locations, being able to gain those service hours, but also then learning in class about national issues and how they can impact things on a larger scale. And our spotlight here, we're going to spotlight one building throughout this presentation, is our Able Not Label program. We do have a cute video here, but I'll just quickly introduce it. We do have a table over here to my right, actually directly behind Dr. Ron, if you could move your hand nice and big. There's an Able Not Label table, and on that table are various items that are completely 100% created, distributed, and completely done by our students at our high school team, our high school intensive needs unit, along with their teachers. And this was born out of a idea that ultimately was funded. Again, we talk about partnerships, and we'll talk a little bit later on about partnership in particular and teamwork, but our endowment funds committee funded this group to order and purchase and have in their classroom available to them heat presses and various items that would allow our students to make and create t-shirts, sweatshirts, onesies, all different kinds of materials that really are promoting respect. And again, I'm going to show you this cute video. This is awesome. So they were featured on Fox 8 by Maya Belay, and Maya came in and did a piece, and as soon as I can skip this. Oh, what did I do? Escape. All right, so I'll continue to talk about it while we're fixing that. And so Maya Belay and the Fox 8 team came in, and they were able to meet with our students, talk to each one of them about what their responsibilities were. And you'll see a little bit of this in the video, but each student within the program, as well as students who are part of that RSVP class that we talked about, come in to talk about how to market these materials, how to create them. And in creation, we're talking about creating the vinyl, pressing the vinyl, being sure to tag the materials after, and also ultimately sell and keep track of what it is our students are bringing in. On an average, our students are selling roughly $2,000, gaining revenue of $2,000 per month in this program, and we're super proud of our intensive needs unit at the high school.
The local high school has a unique approach to teaching students skills to take on after they get out of school. Students with special needs and their teachers have formed a small business. In today's Voices of Unity report, our Maya Belai shows us how the students are working together now to grow the business and their independence.
Inside the busy hallways at North Ridgeville High School, there's a thriving new business.
The first month of this school year, we've passed our sales for all of the sales we did last year. Ballpark, we bring in about $2,000 a month.
This one led by 17 students with a powerful message.
Choose to include, that's a nice message.
Able, not label. It's the name of their apparel line, now in its second year, featuring custom clothing and other products made to order. Sizes range from tiny little babies all the way up to adults, and students are involved in every aspect of the process, from the creation to the design and sales.
Nice. Click the off button on the side.
With more than 400 items sold, each one is crafted with hard work and attention to detail. It all began with a $500 grant and a quest to provide equal opportunities to students with different abilities.
Historically, it's easy to exclude some of our students.
Hey, Bren, is that shirt done?
Intervention specialist Caitlin Carlo says Able Not Label shows just how much her students can do.
You're teaching them those important employability skills, and that's like the most important thing for us as teachers, is to prepare them for life after high school.
We're actually putting in the work, we're making and we're printing the stuff.
Skills a dedicated classroom volunteer and senior exploring a career in special education is helping to nurture, thanks in part to a lasting friendship.
So me and Brendan, I worked with him in 7th grade, and he kind of like sparked the love that I have.
Next door, Brendan is busy filling the latest order, while classmate Kaylee puts price tags on shirts before hanging them up for their next pop-up store sale. Each finished item makes her feel
Happy. And I bought a shirt for myself too.
Okay. 3 classrooms.
If I could have Cameron come over to the station.
Perfect. Then this, I'm going to bring it around this way, okay?
Good job.
Like you sort your money during math?
Run the business with assembly line precision.
Instructions.
Their instructions for how to wash the shirts.
The youngest group of students learn from intervention specialist Sela Cunningham.
Way to go. You're building up that self-importance also. You know, they're getting some pride out of this project. So each piece that they're doing, they are, you know, paying attention to detail now. They're feeling more excited about it. They're teaching each other.
Learning money management, social and vocational skills. Profits earned are reinvested in students.
It's going directly back into their pockets.
Supporting education through community-based instruction, special projects, and field trips. The teacher who helped get the business program off the ground says the success of her students is personal.
They mean everything. I mean, we grow really attached to our students. Some of them come at the age of 14, and some of them stay until 22 years old, and they become our family.
The team, who never stopped believing in students' abilities, say it's only the beginning of shedding labels.
They love the work stuff. Like, they love going out in the community to work, and they love Able Not Label. So it's wonderful to see.
Students' pride in their product. And themselves. In North Ridgeville, Maya Belai, Fox 8 News.
What a great program. Able Not Label is taking orders via email, and we have a link on our website, fox8.com.
In addition to the information provided in the video, again, you can visit the table. There are many ways to connect with Able Not Label. They are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. They do have an email address. There's also a QR code that you can scan. And again, they do custom designs. We actually just recently filled an order for Olmsted Falls City Schools, who placed an order through their high school to choose to include t-shirts. So we're very proud, again, of that partnership and the fact that those beyond North Ridgeville are seeing the value in finding different areas that all of our students can be successful in. And we're so proud of the work that we're doing in all of our classrooms at the high school.
All right, so service is the foundation of everything that we do. So sit back and relax and go through multiple slides here. Municipal income tax is our main source of revenue. If you didn't know, almost 74% is how we get funded. And so that dictates our revenue, our expenditures, which, as you can see, police and fire are 49% of that money that comes in. Then, if you've been paying attention, there's lots of activities going on in the city of North Ridgeville. Lots of cones up, as always, because there's always work to do. You know, both our engineering and service departments perform and prepare a lot of this work, so we're grateful for them and some of our outside contractors as well. But you can see there's been a lot of activity last year, and the list is even more extensive for next year. We have a lot going on. The Peanut Roundabout is still in play, and there's been some difficulties securing some of the property necessary for that. An individual thinks their property is worth $10 million, and it's only worth like $10,000. So we'll continue to work through that issue. We have realignments coming up, paving programs, sewer and water extension projects, an additional roundabout coming in the future. We're going to spend almost $500,000 on replacing fire hydrants. That's pretty amazing if you think about it, that we're going to spend that much money doing that kind of work. But lots and lots of projects. And then last year, our street department, they paved a little over 80 miles of roadway. We cleaned miles and miles and miles of streets. The ditches, we cleaned over 7 miles of ditches. And last year, we had a lot of water main breaks. Rebecca joked that there was one today, but all those guys are here, so that would have just been spewing water all over the place. Thank you for not having that happen today. There's lots of sewer maintenance that we performed as well. Our Park and Recreation Department, we added a new restroom over to the indoor batting cage. It's hard to have batting practice when you can't go to the bathroom. So we've managed to rectify that. We got some new helmets through a grant from the Ohio Department of Health. We had lots of participation in our summer programs and other events. And then moving on to our Senior Center, Office of Older Adults. We had a new software system in place. This past year, we had over 2,400 meals delivered from Meals on Wheels program. We had over 1,400 pounds of fresh produce distributed, and a lot of that produce came from the community garden, which they grow a tremendous amount of things out there, and some pretty unique things. The last time they made a presentation to us, they described how some people that come from different backgrounds, different nationalities, have been growing things that would be popular in those areas, and so they're growing things that wouldn't be normal in this area, and so we're experiencing some different fruits and vegetables and produce like that. There have been a lot of programs over at the Senior Center, and they've been on some field trips. And most importantly, there's spaghetti dinners. I know that is a popular thing around town, but our next spaghetti dinner, while we're on this topic, there's been a little bit of a cold spell recently. I don't know if you noticed it. But there were some pipes that burst, and that has knocked our senior center out of commission. And we are going to now have our spaghetti dinner that's scheduled for the end of this month, the 27th of January. It'll be held at the high school cafeteria. So please, if you're planning to attend that, it'll be in a different location. If you're looking to pick up takeout, we're still working through those issues. And now we're going to move on to teamwork. I know both of us share a lot of teamwork with a lot of partners. What you thinking?
We certainly do. Before we talk about teamwork, though, we're going to have you participate. So get those phones out. And there are about 130 people, I believe, that were registered, so we should have at least 120 responses. Again, Slido.com, you can put in that number, but in a few words, can you tell us, what are the greatest opportunities we have here in North Ridgeville?
So that upper right-hand corner tells you the number of people who have participated. So far, it still says 0, although there's 10 people now.
10 people, 14 people typing.
Look at that.
Commercial growth. All the people coming to town. Educational opportunities, thank you. More businesses, future business growth, economic development. Oh. Continued development of Center Ridge.
So as the words get bigger, that means more people have typed the same thing. A lot of business type answers.
Economic development, commercial growth, business growth seem to be rising to the top.
29 people have responded.
34.
Goes by quick. I know you people have
Education.
smartphones. Let's go.
We need feedback. People are typing. City and school collaboration, widening 83. Destination location, I don't know who typed that, but I want to hug you. Growing and maintaining partnerships. No more guessing.
Somebody didn't type in car washes. Why didn't we put that on?
I'm waiting till that number gets to at least 50. And you can continue to participate. So even if the slide is off, if you reopen your browser, you'll be able to see that you'll be able to continue to type in answers. So we would welcome you to do that.
Yeah, we're always looking for community feedback. So this is just one opportunity out of many for us to get that. So thank you for participating.
So it would appear right now, before I advance the slide, that education and economic development seem to be rising to the top. And so it would be appropriate that we have this partnership and our teamwork as we continue to advance both in North Ridgeville. When we talk about teamwork in North Ridgeville City Schools, we can't do what we do without all of you, without the partnerships, without the teamwork. Dr. Ballinger talked about this morning. And the partnership that we have with LCC, and every year we provide you those numbers, but she did that for me today, so that was awesome. But we are going to talk a little bit about other partnerships too that we have had. Most recently, the Amazing Shake. We also have partnered with the library in different story times, but the Amazing Shake, if you were a judge either last year or this year for the Amazing Shake, can you just stand? Look around the room. That's pretty awesome. You can sit. You don't need to keep standing. If you look around the room, I'd say about half of you stood. The amount of people who were involved in that initiative, and that initiative was born out of a simple conference, OMLA, which is our middle level educators, that several of our middle school teachers and counselors went to last year. Got the idea from another school district, brought it back to us, and made it even bigger and better. And with that, essentially students in our 7th grade participate every year. So there are about 350 kids that go through what we call the gauntlet. And each one of those students gets to participate. And the activities range from setting up a doctor's appointment, making a phone call, dealing with a customer service complaint, a simple casual conversation, an interview, a youth you just won the Super Bowl. What are you going to do? Just, again, very casual conversation. It's very uncomfortable sometimes for students to have these conversations, not only with one another, but also with you as adults. And the amount of you who participated, we couldn't do it without you, and we are grateful for that support and for the experience that you provided for our students. Each year, we will pick 3 finalists, and those students will receive a scholarship of $500 that they can give to a charity of their choice, and so we're in the process right now of finalizing who those finalists will be. So we are very excited for that. In addition, our North Ridgeville High School Future Fair. Leon Brewster, who's here with us today, organized that last year with several of our high school staff members to bring in 90-something different booths ranging from colleges across the country to different organizations here right in North Ridgeville and beyond, different businesses where our students could partner and be be involved differently, whether it's through an internship or through a funded internship, and actually get paid to participate. So 90-something people, and we are bringing it back this year better than ever. If you are interested, I know there is a flyer on your table, and we would love to have all of you be a part of the North Ridgeville Future Fair. Different professional speakers. We heard from DeAndre Nixon this morning, who is back at his table, but he is one of those in education, working with our students to talk about their futures. John Laughlin from Fox 8, coming in to reinforce weather standards and work with our students in a first-hand, real-world scenario where our students are finding value in what they're learning in the classroom. Partnering with our local governments. I know recently Gail Manning and her office provided funds to our schools to send our 4th grade students down to the State House. Something we might not have otherwise been able to do. Participating in mock trials with our local governments. And again, I talked a lot about intern and shadowing experiences. There are so many different ways that all of you have been involved in our schools, and again, we are grateful. Spotlight on Ranger High Tech Academy. So back in the left-hand corner, you can kind of see the board standing up. Our students at Ranger High Tech Academy participated in OAHCA Day. And OAHCA is a region in Mexico where our students, by grade level, broke down a particular area. And we were able, several of us were able to go on the day where they did their presentations, and they interacted with one another. So in some cases, you had 2nd graders teaching 8th graders about what Hurricane Agatha looked like in OAHCA. We had students who were, this was probably the favorite room, but in 3rd grade we were making hot chocolate, and on that back table you'll see a chocolate mixer. And the smell coming from that room was just divine. And everybody that came in definitely wanted to visit the 3rd grade room. But again, not only working with the knowledge of a different region in the world, but also working to teach one another, working to interact and build some of those skills that we don't necessarily always explicitly teach. Ranger High Tech Academy was able to participate in a day that was ongoing. It certainly wasn't just one day. That was the culminating activity. But you know, a day where students could participate in so many authentic learning experiences. The picture you see is of 2 students who are actually Zooming with a resident in OAHCA, and they are working on painting alebrijes, and those are very colorful. I think there are some examples in the back, but colorful sculptures, most of them with animals, but definitely a very cool experience for our students at Ranger High Tech Academy, and we are grateful for Randy Muck, who is the Spanish teacher there, and Coach Durkin for all their help in organizing what was a very chaotic but amazing event.
All right, on the city side of things, we also have a lot of teamwork that's in play. We have a lot of work with the Ohio Department of Transportation. This upcoming year, we are going to pave Center Ridge Road in the portion that's outside of the widening project that we did. They are working with us also on the 83 and Chestnut Ridge roundabout. Ohio Public Works, we always refer to it as OPWC. You hear that phrase a lot. We get money from them to do a lot of our projects, and you can see that listed there. NOPEC is a great partner of ours as well, where we get some money from them on an annual basis to go towards some of those other projects. And you can see roundabouts where it's been delivered to in the past. And then also the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. Once again, State Senator Manning was able to get us some money through the state budget process to complete the Mill Creek Conservation and Flood Control Project, sometimes referred to as the Boulder Drive Retention Basin Project, sometimes referred to as the Future City Park, sometimes referred to as the project that never seems to end, but we keep moving forward and we'll get that wrapped up, and I know Sarah Markle's thrilled about that project. We also partnered with the Lorain County Commissioners to get some money for that project as well, and then some recycling incentive grants, although they announced that they're not doing that anymore, so that's disappointing. The Chamber of Commerce, obviously, with events like this and ribbon cuttings, you can see two of those that happened over the past year. UH and the Ohio Department of Health, I mentioned them earlier with the batting helmets, park and rec programs. One of my favorite partnerships is with the city schools. We have the school resource officers that we have in place. Park and rec programs occur in the buildings because we do not have space of our own. This is slight little. And then we have senior center programs. You can see the one picture in there is the intergenerational Olympics. People from the schools and people from our Office of Older Adults working together to have that Olympics program. Obviously, always working with the Lorain County Public Health, and one of our other favorites is Community Care. We were able to donate some money towards their efforts this holiday season. You can see that picture at the bottom right there. Moving on to respect.
And I respect so much all that you do and the city does to support our schools, but from each of you, I'd like to know, what do you love most about North Ridgeville? And while you're answering, don't forget there are desserts and coffee in the back. Please feel free to get up and enjoy. I understand the need.
And the cookies are good, just because.
My neighbors, the people, Sandy Ridge, friendly atmosphere, opportunity, sense of community, it's home, people, the service department, leadership, students, vision, friendliness, atmosphere, safe location, family feel, people, a lot of commonalities, people, parks and rec, small town feel, forward thinking from the hands, community involvement, room for growth, awesome city services, I agree, diversity, people minus the negative Nancy's on Facebook, dear God, some things you can't fix. The superintendent, thanks guys. Great Cleveland suburb, it is. Superintendent, thank you guys. I have 38.
There's the car wash. Thank you. Thank you.
Poor Mayor, there you go.
Somebody felt bad. They kept saying nice things about you.
All right, moving on. All right, you can keep entering comments. And again, we are populating all these results. So at the end of the presentation, there'll be another opportunity if a question wasn't answered or if there's something you want to know more about. You certainly would have the opportunity to put that in there, and we will follow up with you. So this spotlight is actually going to be on North Ridgeville Academic Center, which is the building you're currently sitting in, again, housing just over 2,000 students. And we serve students in grades 3 through 8 in this building. Very excited to have it, but one of the things that we have worked very hard on since about 2016 was the initiative with the Sandy Hook Promise, which is a national initiative, and Start with Hello Week. So our counselors, our administration here in this building, along with our local government, have been supportive of our students working together to participate in this national week-long event that has different activities for students to participate in, again, all ranging about the idea of respect for one another. And we do have a short video that we're going to show. Before we do that, though, I do want you to turn around and draw your attention to Mr. Rochon, who is on the camera. If you could wave your hand. So above Mr. Rochon is a Start with Hello banner, and this is going to be very important here in this slide. Every single student in this building was able to take a cap, so those are all bottle caps of some sort, and drill that bottle cap to create that mural. So
with supervision.
No supervision. We had 4 parent volunteers at any given time who actually worked very hard for 2 days straight to be here all day, every day, to have each student come down, pick a cap, pick a spot on that board that means something to them, and drill their bottle cap into that mural. Again, the idea of positive relationships with one another, building a strong culture, and working with one another to, again, if there's something that would be concerning, the whole idea of see something, say something. So again, every single student in this 3A facility drilled 1 cap onto that particular mural above Mr. Rochon. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to show this quick video, which should not bring on the technical difficulty of last time. But this, actually, the video that I'm about to show you is the video that brought North Ridgeville Academic Center to the forefront on a national forum that allowed the group with the National Sandy Hook Promise to decide to host their national event here at the Academic Center in April. So I'll show you that.
A boy was sitting alone at lunch with nobody to talk to. He ate his food in a hurry and started reading his book. The boy was used to this. The day finished in a hurry and he packed up to leave. After, he got out his book and started to read. The boy was used to this. On the bus, he was teased. He was called a nerd and a geek. He got out his book and started to read. The boy was used to this. The next day, however, as he started to read, someone walked up to him and said, "Hello, what are you reading?" Up jumped his heart as he looked up with a start. The boy wasn't used to this. He answered the stranger's question, and they kept on guessing about the characters, the heroes, and the villains, about the theme, twists, and silliness. The boy smiled as he answered every question. He could get used to this.
Again, that poem and that video were all created by students here at North Ridgeville Academic Center, and they are the reason that Sandy Hook Promise is going to host their event here in April, which we are very excited about, that National Youth Summit. It is an opportunity for our students to come together with other students throughout the country to participate in youth-led workshops and peer-to-peer mentoring, all working to encourage and educate and empower our students to look out for one another and ultimately prevent violence and have healthy relationships. So we are very proud of the work of North Ridgeville Academic Center and with the Sandy Hook Promise. Okay, before you answer this question, listen carefully. If you're going to answer it, you need to put in your last name. So type in your last name and then a number. The question is, how many plastic caps were utilized to create the Start With Hello mural above Mr. Rochon's head? How many plastic caps? You're going to need to be a little more specific, because I said it 28 times, 2,000, but you got to guess. 2023 is close. There will be a winner. 15, Matthew, you are way off. There is a prize that will be given at the end of the presentation, and Ms. Nikki Roth is tallying these results and will give me the answer. Ooh, Amanda Zapatekny, you are close. Actually, Chopchinsky is closer. The closest, Nikki, the closest.
Price is Right rules? Is that what you're asking?
The closest. All right, so we will continue to put in your guesses. Again, I appreciate the numbers, and we will get that winner by the end, and there is a prize.
All right, so there was an election a few months back, and while it wasn't the greatest, we had 8 charter amendments on the ballot, and all 8 of them passed. So from that perspective, it was a win. And so we're grateful for that. There were 3 that I'm going to highlight. Issue 29 was the merger of the Auditor and Treasurer's Office into a single finance department. And is April here? April is now our Director of Finance, and she just got appointed the other day. That was just an attempt to, most surrounding cities have a finance department, and there were some overlapping responsibilities and opportunity to improve some just workflow efficiencies and accountability. So we made that request to the community, and they supported that, along with Issue 30, which allows us to create new types of zoning regulations. And we've talked a lot over the years about a town center, and this, the passage of this issue will help us move forward with that idea. And then Issue 31 allows us some greater control over the sale of our own real estate and its future use. That was important to us. Whenever the city is selling property, we want to make sure that we're going to get something great out of that sale. And the process before this change was the highest bidder wins. So if the highest bidder was a car wash, we would have gotten another car wash. But now that most likely will not happen ever again. If we own the property, let me. Anyway, branding, I know we've talked a little bit. We launched the branding look last year at this event, and we're moving forward with that. I don't know if you saw the banners that are along Center Ridge Road. That's something new that we offered this year. We launched a city government Facebook page for the first time. You can see the logos and such on our city vehicles. We're looking at putting up signs throughout the city, welcome signs, delineation signs, those kinds of things. And we're working on the city website refresh, which is always exciting. Now we're going to switch over to ownership.
Okay, so as we talk about ownership, what better message than get better every day? Challenge yourselves. What is it that you can do from a personal perspective to get better every day? Our principal at the high school, Joe Mueller, who's new to us this year, came in pretty adamant that we needed to address the climate culture of North Ridgeville High School, and in a very short time, that happened. You heard it if you were listening to the choir this morning. Sam Janney included that in part of the choir presentation. But Mr. Mueller knows the names, I swear to you, of every single student in that high school. And he challenges each one of them. And let me tell you a quick story. I know we're getting close on time, but he was sitting in the cafeteria one day, and I happened to be there. He had his Power School screen up and a picture of a student. And the kid happened to walk through the cafeteria. And Mr. Mueller, with his booming voice, said, "You, come sit down." And the kid was like, "Whoa." Okay. So the kid sits down, starts talking about grades, how we can improve, what we can do, and how he can help him, how he can support him. So it wasn't intimidation. It was love. It was support. It was, what can I do to help you be successful? And I don't know how that kid's doing today, but I know if I'm that kid, I got my stuff together quickly. But one of the things that we have focused on throughout the district is character strong, and the idea of social emotional learning, and making sure that our kids feel supported in all they do. And I can tell you that throughout our K-8 buildings, character strong has helped with some of those messages as it pertains to social emotional learning and getting better every day. And at the high school, that simple phrase has taken on a life of its own. Our entrepreneurship class under Jake Weckhesser was able to do a quick apparel sales that brought in roughly $800. So you see many of our staff members in their JBED sweatshirts. I own one of those. My kids have stolen all of them. But it is definitely a message that is so simple, yet so meaningful. And we are appreciative throughout the district of our students and our staff continuing to push themselves to do better. And a spotlight on Liberty Elementary, again, just talking about PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavior Intervention and Supports. And each of our buildings, again, participates in Character Strong and really working to put that into practice. And thus far, Liberty this year has focused on respect, responsibility, gratitude, and empathy. First and second grade students working on these skills, ultimately to live up to the idea of Ranger Strong, which you all have all heard several times. about the idea that we're going through today, but our students really learn this as they enter our kindergarten building and continue to matriculate through our grade levels. And again, we're very proud of all of the work that they do.
So economic development and planning. Our planning and economic development director, Kim Lieber, has been strengthening our relationships throughout that world. We've started to make some changes to our zoning code to help modernize some of our efforts and to make improvements. We've also overhauled our community reinvestment area program to align better with some of the incentives that we offer. We've gotten some grant money, and right into this slide. Oh, forgot I jumped in the middle there. So we're going through a master planning process. And so there's a slide of opportunity for you to respond. Yes, I'm on the committee. Yes, I plan to attend the meetings. No, I don't know anything about it. Maybe. Let's see. So all of these meetings are open to the public, and it's a fascinating process. So we hired an outside consultant who is in charge of this program, and then we had 90 people apply to be on this committee, and 30 ultimately were chosen as they narrowed it down. But they looked at the community as a broad whole and looked at the census information and tried to match up the committee with the census information. So crossing all sorts of age ranges, levels of income, levels of education, to try and get a better perspective on what we are going to try to move our community forward with. They're charged with looking at housing, economic development, infrastructure, recreation, and more, essentially providing a roadmap for our future. And as you can see in the top right, that is the new slogan for the Master Plan Committee, North Ridgeville Ready, planning together for a better tomorrow. This effort will be approximately a year-long effort. There is a big round of engagement occurring in mid-February, so be on the lookout for that. There's a meeting on the 11th that is open to the public. It is the second meeting of the committee, so please, if you're interested, join us for that. I know this is always a fun fact for people to know. Last year we issued 150 new dwelling permits. You can see all the other information, lots of inspections going on. 150 would be less than the 280 that we did last year, and as you can imagine, the economic situation in the country, interest rates is having an effect on those numbers, but we still have a lot of available land, and a land for businesses, which I know you're not happy houses. New and relocated businesses, you can see a bunch of those that are on that list, and there's been quite a few. Glow Fitness is an interesting place. It was just on Kicking It with Kenny Fox 8 the other day. But food places and others, there's some additional businesses coming soon that we are able to announce at this point. Everything from the Lorraine County Health and Dentistry offices that'll be on Center Ridge Road. There'll be a new Chipotle that'll be on Center Ridge Road at Marksman Plaza, and a bunch of others coming up as well. And then we're moving on to necessity.
So not new information for most people here, but just to quickly overview our revenue and our expenditures. You are aware that almost 70% of our revenue comes from our property owners. And that is a significant number when you consider the needs of the school district, and it is the state and their funding formula and the way that this works out. But currently we receive 24.5% of our revenue from the state of Ohio, and 6% comes from other sources like federal funding, etc. So for those who believe that the lottery and the casinos are funding our schools, sadly that is not the case, but we do appreciate the support, again, of all of our property tax owners and those who support our schools. And on the expenditure side, again, no different than most organizations, roughly 79% of our total expenditures is on staff, so salary and benefits. and then other items and purchase services and capital outlay, materials and things that are necessary to keep our schools running, and the materials necessary for our students. So spotlight on our ECLC, Early Childhood Learning Community peer program. This is our preschool program, and many of you have heard me talk about preschool. Currently, we can serve roughly 20% of our students in North Ridgeville. So right now we have 194 students that we serve in our preschool program. That is 100 students with disabilities and 94 typical peer students. And this is an opportunity for our students to begin that physical growth and motor development. And again, you've heard me talk about the importance of the first 2,000 days of a student's life and how cognitively that language development and getting into some kind of literacy program early is so incredible to the success of those students as they move forward. So right now it's an inclusive environment that really provides our students all of these skills in addition to skill building and life building skills, and we are very proud of ECLC and the work that they do with our earliest learners throughout North Ridgeville.
All right, so let's talk about the fire department for a minute. You can see the total runs are over 5,000 now. That's about an 8% increase from last year, and now they're averaging 14 runs per day. It's quite a bit of activity. There seems to be an increase in the area with fire departments. She was talking the other day, we're not alone with an increase in runs. We did have 2 new firefighter hires. You can see bottom left there, our second female firefighter. That was always fun to do that. And then this is an interesting one that was probably flying a little bit under the radar. The fire insurance rating improved to a class 3. Now there's a lot of factors that go into that, but an outside agency comes in and rates us. And with that increase, we actually saved the entire city money on insurance costs. So we're extremely grateful to the fire department for managing to increase that rating. So there's a lot of other activity that they have performed, as you can see, but let's move on to the police department. What wild animals has or have been found at large by the North Ridgeville Police Department? This is probably the one that we thought would be the most alarming. Kangaroo. Horses, raccoons, apes. So while people are answering that, the correct answer is all of them. Every single one of those. I know it's hard to believe, but yeah, kangaroos, pigs, snakes, raccoons. The raccoon was in the dishwasher of somebody's house. But here, I'm going to read this Facebook post from the police department, which is always a fun side thing, a group to follow. And then this starts off with, well, here we are again. Folks in the Ridgefield development walked out their front door with a cup of coffee to start a beautiful summer day. As they open their doors and step outside to pick up their newspaper, these two are clippity-clopping. That's a technical equine term for you non-horse city folk down the middle of the street. This is that top left picture. And then goes into cue the phone lines at the station lighting up because there's horses running loose. As luck would have it, both of the horses and the citizens, both for the horses and our citizens, our resident Waco, which would be Weird Animal Call Officer, John Mental, was 1 minute away with the help of his apprentice, Officer Brandon, and a small rope and 2 dog leashes. Both fugitive horses were taken into custody. I wish I had videos of the lassoing, but there weren't any. Though Brandon contemplated trying to ride one back to wherever they came from. I promise you, if that happens, we'll post the video both at the scene and in the ambulance. Anyway, thanks to some carrots and apples from the neighbors, get it, neighbors, whatever, they were able to get control of the situation without getting kicked over a house. We're working on finding the owners, but if you live in Olmsted Township and know where these belong, please give us a call, because, well, the extent of our plan has played out. I guess we'll just stand here all day with them until the owners come, unless Brandon rides them somewhere. Anyway, rest easy, citizens. The wild horses are no longer terrorizing Ridgefield. all in a day's work. There was an update. We found the owner. Brandon is sad. Just like that, his vision of being a cowboy has been dashed. Maybe we should start a mounted unit for him. So always a good time in our police department. You can see the activities that they've been involved with over the past year. As always, they do a lot more than just simply give tickets, but they are one of the reasons and main reasons why we are one of the safest cities in America. And speaking of the police department, we have the police station that's underway. I've got this quick little video to show you. Flying over. Right now it's an empty site, and that is not as exciting of a picture as this flyover, but you can see what the site will look like when it's all done. The idea was that it was going to take about a year to complete. This larger building that we're looking at right now is the evidence storage, and the kennels will be in there, and then the bigger building that we're flying over now is the department, the station itself, and you can see they forgot to put the academic center on the other side of the street, but it is going to be there, and it will improve the safety of this whole entire campus as well. So.
Okay, while we're going to deal with this technical difficulty, I can walk you through it. If you go back to Slido, we have another Slido for you to participate in, and this is actually really important. And we're going to talk about why. But last year you all gave us priorities as you see them in North Ridgeville. And so this year the question is, the year is 2035. What are the headlines circulating in our city? A little over 10 years from now, what are the headlines circulating in our city? Nikki, voting is closed. No more car washes. Oh, won't show. Gotcha.
Oh, Nikki, it says it's showing voting closed.
Got it? Okay. Give you a second to think about your headline. Well, we won't have time to read through all of these. I'm very curious and excited to see what you all think.
Facebook still exists, I don't know.
North Ridgeville finally gets around. We tried, guys, we tried.
Car wash just causes a flood. That's very good. Thank you very much.
We need the roundabout city. Oh, these are good.
Yeah, you guys are great.
I hope it's more. I hope it's less than 10 years. Okay. So again, last year we asked you what the priorities were as we approach the goals and the future of North Ridgeville. Do you remember what the top 2 priorities were? I do.
So do I.
New school buildings and a recreation facility with an indoor pool. And so we used that feedback and other feedback and other surveys throughout the community to ultimately approach November. And we all know how that went. And certainly it is important for us to understand the discrepancy. And so we put out a survey shortly after the November election to gather additional feedback and information. We're just going to share 4 quick slides with you from that survey. There were lots of questions and lots of information that we were able to take away, but 4 of which we're going to talk about today. The first one having to do with the respondents overall. So we had almost 2,200 people participate in this survey, which is not only statistically accurate, but also awesome information. And there were areas within the survey where you could give open-ended answers and responses, and there are several of us who did read through every single one of those comments. And that's helpful. Some of it's not so positive, but ultimately it gives us an idea on how to approach moving forward. So we had 2179 community members respond. 1850 were registered voters. Essentially, we were looking for who is affiliated with our schools and who are not. So we had 1,246 people who are directly affiliated with our schools and 933 who were not. The interesting piece of the survey was that 86% of those who responded actually voted in the November election. So there was a number of people who responded to this survey who did not vote. So trying to parse out the information and the age ranges, we know that the 35 to 54 age range was our highest voting population.
All right, and one of the questions was asking about the existing facilities and whether they were sufficient, or in this case, insufficient. And you can see from those responses, pretty much everybody agrees that they are insufficient. And I have two comments that were in the longer form responses that I want to share with you. As the parent of a child who will be entering the school system within the next 2 years, it is disheartening to see these levies and bond issues fail time after time. My husband and I are actively looking to move to a city where residents support the schools, community buildings, and are forward-thinking. I really wish North Ridgeville could be that, but the citizens here are telling us otherwise by their votes. And then the other said, my children attend another district, but we are still strong supporters of NRCS district. I was glad to see this innovation plan put forward. Please keep pushing forward and focusing on the big picture. I think, you know, we did see that people said that the use of taxpayer money was a good idea for community service buildings, which was exactly opposite of the way they voted. So it was interesting, but I think overall, the biggest feedback that we got was everything was just too much at that time, the way the economy was.
So when we talk about the high school and Liberty Elementary, which again is our first and second grade buildings, both well over capacity, both in pretty bad conditions, it is very clear that 69% of the respondents support replacing the high school and 62% support replacing Liberty. And again, there are lots of factors that go into how that decision was made to ultimately not renovate, but to replace the buildings, and most of you are familiar with that. But ultimately, moving forward, what we learned was that there were just parts of the overall ask that either weren't understood, people did not like or appreciate, and so we needed to regroup to determine what next steps would be.
And the survey asked what is the priority for the community moving forward, and they said that the best long-term plan was the top priority for every age group that responded. So best long-term plan essentially means using your money in the best way, most efficient, and the wisest, right? That's, you want something that's going to last, not a short-term fix. So the idea of new versus renovating. And while we're on that, at the high school, there was a gas leak not too long ago. Actually, it was at the beginning of December, and they had to be evacuated out of there. And I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this, but this is called a red tag. And this is from Columbia Gas. And as you can imagine, red is a bad color in this situation. There are two lines that run underneath the building, and those lines have been deemed to be now, well, the gas company demanded them to be out of service. Unfortunately, they run to the science labs, and so now the high school no longer has science labs. They will be moving over to the academic center to use those, along with everybody in 3 through 8 that would be using those. So now we have science labs in this building for 3 through 12, which is a lot of kids and not enough space.
So ultimately, the need is now. Back in December, the Board of Education took the first step toward placing back on the May agenda a new high school and a new elementary building, and we will be moving forward with that plan, assuming that the board continues to vote the second resolution at the January 17th meeting. Again, we're very grateful for their support. We know this is not easy. We campaigning is certainly not easy, and we are grateful to all of you who have helped us along the way and continue to be supporters of our students and of our school district. So you will see that back on the May ballot, again in New High School and New Elementary School.
And we have several goals this year that we're trying to work on, and there's just 5 that are listed here. There are others, but master plan is obviously one of our primary goals. As I mentioned, it's a year-long process in establishing a roadmap for the future. As a component of that plan, we'll also be looking at the town center, which is the old middle school property in the area between Center Ridge and Bainbridge, reaching from the Center Ridge Road school property all the way down to the city property. Infrastructure projects, economic development, and communications are all goals of ours that we'll be carrying out this coming year.
So as we wrap up, there are a few announcements before we hopefully have you go get some cookies. But a few thank yous to Nikki Roth, who is back in the corner, and all of her work in helping putting this presentation together. My assistant superintendent, David Britt, who's sitting up here in the front. You can leave. I know you're not standing.
Yes, Kim Lieber, Tissy Simon.
Both of our administrative staffs, specifically to my family, my husband Michael, my daughter Miabella, my son Michael, who all think I'm insane, but support me nonetheless. And to Nick Gardner, who was here, but I believe has gone to his office, who had created all the centerpieces on your table, which we're going to talk about in a moment. And finally, last but not least, to Anaya Abed, on both of our behalves.
And I'll just mention my family as well. My wife Lauren, my sons Nolan and Cole, and then my daughter Madden. As Roxanne mentioned, my family thinks that I'm nuts as well. They knew that a long time though before I became mayor, so it's not that big of a deal for them. But they've been strong supporters all along.
And again, to Hanaya, I mentioned quickly, but for organizing this entire event with Marjorie and just mostly keeping me safe. I appreciate that. I mentioned that there was going to be one last opportunity for you to answer or have us answer any additional questions you might have, not necessarily right now today, but through some follow-up opportunities. I also would like to announce the winner of the bottle caps. So the actual number is 2013 bottle caps. They're making that up. The winner with 2014 was Chopchinsky. I don't know if I'm saying that right. You got it. You're the winner. I have a prize for you. So don't leave. And then finally, the centerpiece is on your table. So that diamond portion, so the blue or yellow portion, does come out. So this is going to be a judgment call, ladies and gentlemen. But I need you to determine who has the most Ranger spirit. So maybe wearing navy blue and gold. If there's none of that at your table, I would ask next year that you think about that. But if not, let's use the closest birthday to today. Moving forward, not backwards. So it has to go forward. Closest birthday, we have 2 available. Please do not take the lighted bases. Just take the diamond out of the centerpiece. Again, we thank you all for your support. I know that on behalf of the Board of Education, we are grateful that you were here with us today, enjoying this amazing building, and we hope to continue to educate our students in the way that we expect and can promote the city of North Ridgeville. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we're very grateful for this opportunity to lead this city in our respective institutions, so thank you. We appreciate you. And there is a 50-50 winner, Sarah. She's close to me, so I'm going to take care of it.